Hello and welcome to the Healthy Lives, Healthy Business podcast. I am your host, Victor Fernandez. Now, I guess I should say welcome back to the podcast. It's been 6 months since I recorded an episode of the show, and in that 6 month time period, the passion behind the show has returned. The name has changed. The show has changed a little bit, but we're back at it. Here's the thing. I don't do anything just to say I did it. It's never been my MO. If I'm going to do something, there's going to be a purpose behind it. There's going to be a reason, a passion behind it. And after recording the last episode of the Fit Family Foundations podcast, the previous name, I just realized I was doing it just for the sake of doing it. This was back in late November. So I decided it was time to give it a break. Didn't think it would be as long as it was, about 6 months now. But that's the time it needed to really, in my mind, create that sense of what this podcast is really about. And for me, it's about helping business people, entrepreneurs, career-minded people, because there's so many of us out there, to empower their personal and professional success, their growth through health and fitness. So why did I choose this? Well, number one, I'm one of them. I have my own business, but less than 15 years ago, I was 250 pounds. I was the unhealthiest I'd ever been in my life. And I was heading nowhere. I was heading nowhere as a man, nowhere as a husband, a father. My career, I was in newspapers for 26 years, but I was starting to realize I wasn't enjoying what I was doing. It was becoming more of a job, more of a chore, more of a pay, just doing it for a paycheck. And I vowed I would never, ever end up in that position, but that's exactly where I ended up. And now, and somebody helped me back then to regain control of my health and well-being. Because once we're able to do that, once I was able to realize that I can take control, I can be responsible for my own personal health and well-being and make sure that I'm taking care of myself the way I needed to, not just for myself, but for those important to me, my family especially. Once I was able to do that, I realized I could take control in other aspects of my life, in all aspects of my life. And that included my career, my passion, the way I brought in income. Let's face facts. Got to survive, got to live, got to support the family. So when it came time to start rebranding, rebuilding this show, I really wanted to share that message, beat that drum, that you don't have to sacrifice your personal health and well-being in order to be successful in a professional perspective in your career. We wear that sacrifice as a badge of honor of some kind. Think about it. How many times have you heard people say, I'll sleep when I'm dead, rise and grind? And I'm not sitting here saying that working hard is bad. I'm not saying that at all. We need to work hard to become successful. But we also need to work hard at taking care of ourselves. Because let's face it, for me, it was a trickle-down effect. I wasn't taking care of myself. My health and well-being was in the toilet. Let's be perfectly honest. And it impacted, unbeknownst to me at the time, it impacted every other aspect of my life. I was struggling everywhere because I'm a firm believer that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you cut corners in one avenue of life, you're going to cut corners in every other aspect of life. Think about it. Sit back and think about it. Think about how you do one thing. Do you go all out? Do you give it 100%? Or do you cut corners? Do you do the bare minimum? Because if whatever category you fall into, take a look around at the rest of your life and see if you fall into that same category in those aspects of life. And I'll bet that you do. So that's where my passion lies. That's where my true passion lies. Those are the people I'm in front of every day. I have conversations and have formed relationships with so many great people both in the Cape Fear, Wilmington, North Carolina region and outside this area, just across this great country of ours. And I want to be able to help those people realize that putting yourself first, taking care of yourself, taking ownership of your health and well-being isn't selfish like we seem to think, but rather it's essential. It's absolutely essential, because if we have control of our health and well-being, if we are doing well when it comes to our health and well-being, we have the ability to do the same in all other aspects of life, and especially in our professional life. Let me share a quick story with you. And this isn't about any one particular person. This is about quite a few people, many people that I've spoken to, especially over the last year and a half, almost 2 years. And you see these people out in public, and you see them at different events, and they're spot on. You know, they're decisive, they're confident, they're extremely intelligent. They seem to know what they want and how to get it. And I'm not saying that's a facade. I'm just saying in that avenue of life, on the professional side of things, they're in control. They understand what they want and how to go after it and make it happen. But when you have conversations with them, when I have conversations with them one-on-one, just between us, and the topic of our personal well-being comes up, our personal lives, all of a sudden, and I see this a lot, all of a sudden that same confidence, that same decisiveness seems to just fade away. And true, raw, real feelings come out. Feelings of doubt, feelings of frustration, feelings of hopelessness, that you don't know which way to turn. Because let's face it, everybody on this planet should know the basics of what they need to be doing to take care of themselves. Pick that apple over the bag of chips, drink that bottle of water instead of that can of soda. We know the basics. We know we need to be moving our bodies. We know we need to get at least 15, 20, 30 minutes of exercise, regardless of what it is, be it walking, running, biking, whatever it is. We need to strength train at some point. Now, I'm not saying lift heavy barbells. I'm just saying we need to pick stuff up and put stuff down. We know all that. So why is over 40% of our population deemed obese? Why is over 70% of our population deemed overweight? Because even though we may know those things, we may not know a lot, we may not know precisely what works for us, but we know the basics. But for one reason or another, we don't do them. And oftentimes, as it was for me, it was because my priorities were strictly with the people I needed to take care of and the obligations that I had to take care of. That meant putting everyone and everything in my life ahead of myself every time. And it didn't turn out all that great for me, to be quite honest with you. Because like I said, not taking care of myself, the trickle-down effect impacted other aspects of my life. So here we are, back at it once again, newfound passion, a new name, the Healthy Lives, Healthy Business Podcast. Going to have a lot of great guests on this show talking about their own personal journey of empowerment for their personal and professional success that in so many ways is tied into their health and fitness, their health and well-being. And they're going to share their stories. I'm going to run my mouth like I always do. You know I like it. I'm not going to lie. But we're going to have a really good time. We're going to provide a whole lot of insight, a whole lot of real raw emotion. And we're going to talk straight. We're going to say it like it is, because that's the only way I know how to do it. But yes, so we are back, and we're going to make things happen. We're going to shake things up, and we're going to have some fun along the way and hopefully learn a thing or two, because I know I'm going to learn more than a thing or two from the special guests that come on my show. So that being said, make sure to go ahead and subscribe, to like, to leave a great review. 5-star review would be awesome. and just share this show, share this podcast with anyone and everyone that you believe could benefit from listening to what we have to say on this show. Because the goal is that each person that listens takes away one little bit, at least one little, nugget of knowledge that they can implement right away into their lives. That's going to make their lives that much better moving forward. Because let's face it, folks, as much as we have so much going on in our lives that we are responsible for, that we are obligated to, that we need to make things happen, here's the one thing I want you to take away each and every week. That's fitness is our business.